Welcome back to the Let's Glow Show. It's Amanda Sweet, the creative fairy godmother. And every single week on the show, we go live with a creative entrepreneur carving their own path in the world, taking up space, doing things differently, making things work for them in their business. And today we have the woman of the hour, Miss Princess Castleberry. Welcome. This
Thank you.
beautiful global speaker, mentor, author, all of the things. You are busy, busy girl. So we are very grateful to have you today. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me. I've been
So
waiting for
tell,
this.
oh, I know, I'm ready. I'm ready. Tell us all of the titles because, many of us have many titles. I know you have a few.
Yes. So I'll start with the important ones. I am a mother. I am a wife. I am a risk manager. Right. We'll talk about that one because people are like, "What? Wait, what?" I am a global speaker. I am now an author. Just finished my first manuscript, book coming out soon. I am a leadership strategist. I am a mentor to lots of people who are willing to do the work. And I'm a Detroit girl, baby. I'm a West Sider.
Hey,
So a lot of titles, a lot of titles.
I love it. You came up to me after the Women Who Thrive event in West Bloomfield. And I've seen you speak, I've seen you in the bamboo spaces, I've seen you around, and you came up to me and you're like, "Oh, I love to love you, girl." And I was like,
Yes.
"He's me." And you filled my cup in that library parking lot for like 45 minutes after the episode
Oh,
or the show ended. And I was just like, I need to talk to you. I need to learn. I need to grow. And then we had a coaching session and you just poured into me like there was no tomorrow. But the way that the knowledge just flowed out of your body was beautiful. And I'm
mm,
just excited for the audience to experience that. So, how did you end up
thank
as a
you.
speaker from risk manager?
Right? So so I love to give this very simple definition of what a risk is, right? Because when people hear risk manager, they think that it's something very remote from them, right? And I like to start with this simple definition of the word risk. A risk is the possibility of harm or loss to something of value. So when you have things that you value, when you have things, people, a purpose, a mission, a drive that you value, and you put things in place to protect it, right? Then you are a risk manager. That is risk management. Now, there is a technical profession called risk management, but that's essentially what it is. It's valuing things, it's wanting those things to grow, but then putting strategies in place to protect the things as they grow. So, businesses do that with their assets, with their people, with their products and their systems. And we do that with our hearts, with our projects, with our brands, and all kinds of things with our families. So every single leader in the world is a risk manager. We just got to get better at it. And so I've always been a professional problem solver. Something I've always loved is I love to teach. I just love to teach. And it just comes out of a lot of talking. I mean, I'm a talker. And, but I'm talking for a purpose, right? I'm trying to convey things. So a lot of risk managers, actually, professional risk managers, when it's time to go to grad school, will get an MBA. And
Mhm.
I didn't want that for myself. I didn't want to take another finance class. Shout out to the finance people. Make that
Yes,
money.
we need them. We need
We
them.
need it. We need you. But I didn't want that to be how I invested in my education. So I went and got a master's degree in two areas. I studied training and development and instructional design, and then I ended up getting a certificate in wellness counseling because I knew at the end of the day I wanted to understand how people learned really complex things, and I wanted to be able to teach. And then I wanted to know what made people well and unwell, right?
Mhm.
And so all of those things conspired together. And I'm a woman of faith. I believe in God, and I believe that when you get all these different talents, it's up to you to make sense of how these things fit together. And so when I looked at my life as a risk manager, as a wellness counselor, as an instructional designer, right, to add some titles, I was like, what is this thing? And I
Yeah.
found that thing, that culmination in speaking and getting up on stage. and being able to not just speak to be heard, but speak to be understood, speak to be, for people to activate what you're saying in their own lives and in their businesses, which is what I really care about is business. Um, when people do that, that is such a powerful transfer.
Mm.
I'm here with my ideas and words, and you're putting it in action. And now you're growing a business. Now you're growing a future and doing things that grow beyond you. I love to see it. And that's what I'm here for.
I love it. I'm curious what that journey after school, becoming a professional speaker as a business looked like, because I've been talking about it on the show how I feel like I'm in the messy middle where I'm like
Yeah.
transitioning. And I
Yep.
was I was joking with one of my friends, like, you know how they talk about the caterpillar goes into the cocoon and then it comes out this beautiful butterfly, but they don't talk about the weird, ugly part when it's like coming out of the cocoon. That's
Right.
where I feel like I'm at right now. Like I feel like I'm trying to push out,
Yeah.
and I got little spots open, but it's this weird, like, uncomfortable space where I'm like, I'm learning to say, so tell me about your budget. Let's talk about the run of show. What is the
Mhm.
expected head count? And I'm more comfortable saying it, but I'm less comfortable negotiating the price and the value that I'm worth. So I feel like I'm definitely in this like weird in between. What was that weird in between like for you? Did you have it
Yeah, well,
at all?
absolutely. Absolutely, I did. Absolutely. And I made a ton of mistakes. And so, before becoming a speaker, I was an enterprise risk manager for 22 years. So I had a pretty
Wow.
lengthy corporate career. And that was a career I built intentionally and I loved it. And it was very rewarding. But when it was time to go, I set out like a lot of people set out. Some people set out with a plan. I didn't have a fully written plan. And actually, one of my friends, he's a mentor to me, he realized, he's like, "You don't have a plan. Like, you're just kind of out here, and I don't like it." And he gave me some advice that he later took back, but he said, "You need to get a job, a simple job, an easy job that you can do that allows you to think, because I don't want you to run out of money, and I don't want you dipping into your savings to try to build something that's focused." So he shared that out of love, but
Mhm.
I promised him, like, I'm gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
And so I started experimenting. And so that part where you're like you said, you're like cracking out of the cocoon, really what you should be doing as you're cracking out is the same thing that a butterfly does, because it doesn't just crack out. It cracks a little bit and it flutters a wing
Mm.
and it cracks a little bit more and then it wiggles a little bit. And so it's actually trying out its new existence before it even
Mhm.
gets there. It starts to experiment. And so that's what I did coming out of corporate and starting my own business. I got to tell you, my first business, and it's still actually the legal name of my business. My business was called Castle Risk Management and HR Consulting.
Hmm.
I'm largely not doing traditional risk management consulting, and I'm largely not doing
Right.
traditional HR consulting. Now, are those skills the foundation of everything I talk about? Yes, but I'm not doing those things. And so I had to create a DBA, but it started off that way because that's where I came from. So
Mhm.
that's my advice to people. Like, wherever you start is wherever you start. Like,
Mhm.
that's it. Don't overthink it. Don't try to come up with this amazing rocket science. Another good friend of mine, Evelyn Somerville, gave me great advice. She said, "You got to start in the spaces where people know you, like you, and trust you already." And
Mhm.
people knew me, liked me, and trusted me in risk management and human resources. So I started there, but I started cracking
Hmm.
out and testing out my other skills. I started fluttering my wings in training and development, which I had the degree in. I started fluttering my wings in the wellness space. And then I just started bringing together and crafting those messages. And that's what it's like, experimenting a lot on the forefront, right? This is important. On the outward look, you can't look like you're all over the place.
Mhm.
People, as much chaos as we live in, people don't like it. People
Right.
like cohesion. They like themes, they like threads. So even as I started to increase my LinkedIn presence, that was intentional. I used to be the queen of Facebook.
Mm.
Like, my kids probably would hate me, like how much of their business I put on there. Every step they took, right? But I had to make the conscious choice 5 years ago to build a LinkedIn presence. I had 300 connections. That wasn't going to get me where I needed to go. I needed thousands and I
Right.
needed a presence. So I had to literally decide to shift my time. I opened up the app on my iPhone, team iPhone, what's up? And
Mhm.
I looked at, my app usage and I saw how many hours a week I was using Facebook. And I said, let's cut that in half and shift that other half to LinkedIn.
Ooh.
I was very intentional. So again, to use your analogy, coming out of the
Yeah.
cocoon, fluttering a wing here, fluttering a wing there, testing out some new things, I moved into a new space. I got into a space where business was being done, not where I could just be social.
Mhm.
And so those are some of those that's not rocket science. That's
Mm-mm.
really initial steps. Start where you are, go where people know you, like you, and trust you, and test out some new spaces. That's it.
Mm.
And then it will start to evolve. You will take on the new identity. You'll get your spots.
Yeah.
Your antennae will raise.
Yeah.
Your awareness will go up. Oh, I love the butterfly analogy. And I'm a
Mhm.
butterfly girl too. So
Oh, yeah. Well, and it really feels like that because everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna fly." Everybody, when I
nah, never
transition,
first.
they're like, "You're gonna fly, you're gonna fly, you're gonna soar." They
Butterflies
kept
do
saying
this.
right. They flutter around. They're like, "Do I like
We don't
this?
do this.
Do
We
I
don't
like
take
this flower? I don't know." You know? And everybody's like, "Oh, you're gonna soar." And I feel like I'm in this weird place where I'm like, they think I'm supposed to be soaring. I don't feel like I'm doing that yet. I don't think I'm ready to do that yet. I'm still figuring it out. And
maybe
I
eagles and butterflies. I mean,
yeah, yeah, I think it
both
goes
live
away
life,
and
different paths.
exactly, and both need rest and
Yeah,
both need to sit for a second. They can't be flying all the time,
that's right.
and I think it's just a matter of reframing it in my brain where I'm like, there are places where I am in fact soaring, and there are places
Mhm.
where I'm still learning and growing. And
That's
I
right.
think I will forever be that way. But I see people
You
like
will
you
be.
and I'm like, how did you get to so you were corporate girly, moved to speaker, now you're moving into author. Like,
Mm,
how do you intentionally build out? Because I think a lot of us are maybe we haven't had 22 years in corporate. I feel
right,
like a lot of that is a benefit because you get to see strategic planning happening year over year. You
right.
get to see and experience some of those things. Some of us haven't seen that. So, like, how are you building this like longevity strategy into your business? Like, how did you know author was coming up?
Yeah, so I knew author was coming up because there started to be a demand for it. So I will take you back a step on
Yeah.
like how did I get on a stage in the first place? Because my story is
Mhm.
actually a bit unique because the first main stage I was ever on was the TEDx Detroit stage. I don't know if that normally happens that way.
You just jump right in. You're like, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm out here. No, but
Yeah.
it didn't even happen like that. The precursor to that was me dealing with the fear. Believe it or not, as much as I'm a selfie girly, I will take pictures
Mhm.
all day. But believe it or not, I didn't like video. I had never
Mm.
been on a podcast. I did not like to be recorded because I didn't like the sound of my voice. I didn't like the
Right.
playback, ironically. And now I love this voice. But a friend of mine, her name's Shantae Hooks, shout out to her, Detroit girly, living in Atlanta. And she's a phenomenal speaker and all things. And she said, you need to be on video. We should do a live together. We should do something. So it was initially her idea, like pulling me out of my shell and encouraging me. And I said, okay, cool. What should we talk about? And so she came up with an idea and I challenged her a bit. And I said, we had both recently read a book, The Four Agreements by
Mm.
Don Miguel Ruiz. And I said, what do you think of this book? And she said, oh, I have lots of opinions. And so we started talking about the book. And then we had a big stroke of genius, a big aha moment to have a short segment on how to break bad agreements. Because the book was about, the things that we live by that are outside of our
Mhm.
control, things that we just inherit. And we got this notion that some of us might have great agreements that serve us well, and some of us have bad agreements. And so this online LinkedIn live webinar forum that we did got a lot of attention, got us
Mhm.
invited to a major corporations like employee resource group. And
Mhm.
we had a paid speaking engagement. It was a virtual paid speaking engagement to lead people through our method of breaking bad agreements. So fast forward, here I am, I'm still building this business, right? This fledgling consulting business. And I was finding the sales process to be incredibly difficult. I didn't know jack about sales or that funnels and marketing strategies. I didn't have any of that starting my business. But I knew I had great ideas and great energy. So if I could get myself on a stage and share some of my thought leadership, that the people who wanted to talk to me would come up to me, because that's what I do when great people come off stage. I run up and I get in line and talk to them. So I was like, that's going to happen to me. So I manifested that. And I started to think about, thought leadership. And so a guy, Terry Bean, who helps to run TEDx Detroit with Charlie Wahlberg and Sean Lee, Terry was hosting a thought leadership program. And so I got involved in his program. I enrolled in his program because I was still building my LinkedIn presence, wanting to get on stage, and knew this is a guy who runs one of the biggest stages and platforms in the city. And I started to position myself. So again, very intentional, right? But that was a 10-week program that I just took time to get to know him, shared my ideas and my feedback on the program he was facilitating. And he was like, wow, you got some cool thoughts and some unique ideas. And so fast forward, this is now summer 2022. It's 3 years ago. Summer 2022, Terry says, we're going to host a speaker showcase. We're getting together just with some friends and thought leaders. You got 10 minutes. It's going to be a small theater inside the Imagine Royal Oak. You got a small stage, a couple dozen people in the audience. Talk about whatever you want to talk about. Remember, I'm a trainer and a facilitator. I'm not a speaker. I don't have a keynote. I don't have a talk, a TEDx. But this wasn't a TEDx official event. And I talked to Shantae and I said, I have this opportunity for a showcase. Can I just tell my story from Bad Agreements? She's like, go for it. Yeah. So I turned our hour and a half long training into a 10-minute talk. And I did it on that stage, on that very small stage in front of maybe 30 people. And Charlie Wahlberg walked up to me and said, you're speaking at TEDx Detroit. That was brilliant. So I feel like I got discovered.
You did.
Sometimes it's just like, take what you got.
Yeah.
Experiment, come out of the shell, and go try. Put yourself in position with people who can get you to where you want to go. Now, this is something I believe today, and I talk about this in my framework, live, lead, and build leverage. I leverage processes. I leverage technology. I leverage positioning. I do not leverage people. I didn't have to leverage them. They created a system. They created an opportunity. I leveraged the opportunity, not them. That is the difference, because so many people will come up to me. Oh, I need to pick your brain. I want to talk to you. I want to get in with you. You're trying to leverage me. Let me present to you an infrastructure that teaches you how to do this. And then you go do the work. I will support you. I will champion you. It's no different than what I told you in that parking lot. And on our first call, I'll meet you where you are. But I'm not coming any further than that. And they didn't come any further than that. They gave me a stage and I got on stage and I did the damn thing.
Yes, you did.
That's how it started. That's the truth behind how you get started. Sometimes, and I don't believe too much in serendipity. I believe in God and I believe in perfect timing and wisdom. And I believe in discernment and knowing when it's time to move, knowing when it's your season. A lot of people don't know what season they're in either. And so that's when I do get into my numbers and things like that, like understanding where am I in this process? Where am I on my purpose calendar? I believe in that type of stuff. There's a season for everything. And that was my season to plant the seed. I did.
Oh, I love that. And I feel like you said you got discovered, but you created an environment in which you could be discovered, and I think a lot of us do this often, but we're not thinking about it intentionally. Like, oh, I'm going to take this class. If I take this class, I'm going to learn this thing, and they're not thinking about, how it's going to impact them down the line. I love how you were like, I see a thing. This feels good. I'm following my intuition, but also it's in alignment with my intentions. I'm going to just follow it, and see where it goes. And it puts you on a TEDx stage, which is amazing.
Now I'm
Oh,
turning my setup a little bit because
yeah. So
now
you can get that full
the
sun.
sun is
There she is.
the
There she is.
sun is ooh,
Ooh.
in.
I
The
love it.
sun is out
That's
now.
yes, she is. She's like, just wait, sit over like a half stop.
It's
There she is. There she
boom.
is. I love it. See, you're lucky you could do that because if my camera goes this way or this way, we're seeing a part of the room that we're not supposed to see because this is my craft room. This arena right here is the Let's Glow show. This is my craft room. This is Breezy's craft room.
I
We are
understand.
not,
I live in a small home. People, it's funny because when you have a big personality, people think like you live in this big space and luxury and all this. And I'm like, I am the most minimalist. And people do not believe that because they're like, oh, you're always so glammed and this and that. I am a minimalist. And I converted my living room into like my home office because nobody was using it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful living room. It's a
Mhm.
beautiful space, but there's no television in this room. And so the
Nice.
television is in the family room. So everybody goes there by the family room and the kitchen and all that. And nobody was ever in this space. And I said, why the heck do I have a big old marble table and couches and all this stuff in this space that nobody's using? And
Mhm.
we do have a small home. I didn't have an office during the
Okay.
pandemic. My husband like took over the basement and
Sure.
turned it, renovated, and now it's a full on like man office, man cave, gym.
Cute.
And I didn't have a space, and I was like,
Mhm.
you know what? I'm not confined to this space is supposed to be this a
Yes.
formal dining room. I didn't need a formal dining room. We eat at the kitchen
Mm.
counter, and half the time I'm a damn mom. I stand up and eat over the sink.
Mm.
I eat over the sink, and I'm
You
eating
go.
scraps off of people's plates.
Oh my gosh.
Half the
I
time.
I sit in my living room too, or my kitchen. Well, I don't know. We have a small house too, and I remember when we were looking for houses, I was like, we are not having a room that we cannot use. Like, we will not be buying a house with a
Right.
room
We
with
don't
the
do that.
couches, and we're not allowed to sit on. Like, we won't be doing that.
Exactly.
Like, I
No,
want to use
yeah.
every square inch we're paying a mortgage for
That's
because
right. Put your feet up, and if the couch, we won't be disrespectful to it, but over
sure.
the years, once it gets worn and ruined, that's why you go get another one.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the purpose of
then you get
having
another
it.
one. That's
I think
yes,
I'm a maximalist. I'm definitely a
yes.
maximalist.
Maximalist. Okay, I like
I'm
that.
100% a
Okay.
maximalist, but I grew up in a house with maximalists, a little, they were maximalists, and also we weren't allowed to use things because they were the nice things. So it's
Uh,
like, oh, you can't use this because this is like for guests. You can't use these couches because these couches have to stay white. You can't use this, can't use that. And there's just like rooms in the house that we weren't allowed to use. And I was like, I'm not doing that in my
no.
closet. I'm not doing that in my house. I'm not doing that in my life. Like, I'm not gonna have friends that I can't call on. I'm not gonna have people in my life that I can't that can't embrace me. I can't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna have
Yes, I
untouchable
feel you.
things. If I can't touch them, they're not for me.
Then
Like,
they're
just
not for me. I promise you, I've done that. I've done some purging,
oh
shall we
yes.
say.
Oh yes. The
People
purge is
and things.
like it's part of my business plan. Like,
That's part.
purging is part of it. And I think it's a spiritual thing. Like, when it's even when it comes to stuff, bad thoughts, bad habits, like all of that stuff needs to purge.
That part.
I love it. I
Need it.
love it. Okay, so you are getting ready to launch a book. Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
So the book is called The Truth is in the Trigger. Decode the triggers driving your stress and burnout.
Mm,
Right. And so the idea behind the truth is in the trigger is that everybody wakes up every day with an intention about how they're going to lead, or at least we should, right?
mhm,
Most of us, and this is a book for leaders, right? And I'm not talking about just people leaders. If you are a leader in your home, a leader in the community, you're a leader, you're creating risk. You're also looking for opportunities. So if you're a leader, remember you're a risk manager. Let's talk about
mhm,
that earlier. So when you're a leader and you're a risk manager, you have to be self-aware. And I know a lot of people set out every day with a great intention. When I ask leaders in one word, tell me how you intend to make people feel, they say things like happy, empowered, seen, heard, appreciated, and all these very altruistic things. But the second I ask them in one word, describe to me how you actually make people feel when you're triggered,
Mm.
I get completely different answers. I get, some people will say, well, if I'm triggered, I never let anybody see it. So I immediately start burying it, masking it, and trying to handle it all myself.
Mm.
The other, I would say 80% of the people say, no, I micromanage, I distance myself, I condescend to people, I make them feel stressed and triggered,
Mhm.
I disregard them, all these
Mm.
things. And because we live in a time, especially in 2025, we live in a time where people are more likely to experience stress, burnout, distance, conflict, and the things that are very triggering. It is high time that as leaders, we become fully aware and conscious of what triggers us, and we just own it. And we accept what triggers us, but we decode it in a way so that we can use it.
Mm.
And that's what it's about. The whole concept of identifying your triggers is a part of a broader framework that I created called Live, Lead, and Build Leverage. And that is a capacity building framework, because leaders are very well educated. We're well educated, we're trained, we're professionally developed, we're all the things. But we still, in spite of all of that, we are running out of capacity. And I do
Mm.
believe today we are in a leadership capacity crisis. And I think that identifying the truth in your triggers, along with the other 5 skills that are part of that model and that framework, I think that's the path forward.
Mm.
In
I
fact,
love that.
I know it
I
is.
think like it's funny that you bring this up because I feel like yesterday, literally yesterday, my sister had a trigger. My sister and I talk through our triggers a lot, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that I have that person in my life where we can be like, I noticed something in myself. I need somebody to talk to about it. And we're like, great. Because usually we have either similar triggers, and this is just like more personal family things,
Mhm.
but like we notice them, we'll talk them through. And I noticed that it came through into my conversations with my husband yesterday.
Mhm.
And when I'm at work, I'm very much like, let's process through this. And when I'm talking to my sister, I'm like, let's process through this. And then I was talking to my husband and he's like, I feel like I don't have the bandwidth to like, it was more about I want to feel special, seen, celebrated. Like those are things that I need in my relationship with my close friends, family, and like romantic partner. And he was like, but I feel like I'm spending every minute. It's the capacity thing we were talking about.
Mhm.
He was like, I feel like I'm literally spending every minute either working on me, or working to make you happy. And I still don't do enough, you know? And I'm like,
Mhm.
let's talk through this. And it usually happens at the end of the night because that's when we can talk to each other,
Yeah, but people
and so
are tired.
where we're tired, we're cranky, whatever the feelings. And I'm realizing now that like all me and my husband and me and my sister, maybe me and my mom and my dad need is just a strategy to process through the trigger because we're aware of the trigger. We've talked about it. We both know that there's an awareness of this is a trigger for me, but we haven't gotten to the part where we're like, what is the resolution to that trigger? How do we de-escalate? How do we solve it? Because we have a capacity issue.
Yeah.
Like,
And so in the book, one of those very simple frameworks that I use throughout the book to help people start to decode is actually, it comes out of the risk management process. Shocker.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
But I've simplified the risk management process, has lots of moving parts to it, but I've simplified it down to 4 things. And it's identify, assess, build, and learn, right? And so when you identify, you've already done the identification, right? Well,
mm-hmm,
part of it, because just because you know what's triggering you doesn't mean that you know the exact origin story of it. Why is
mm-hmm.
this? So I know that I'm bothered when XYZ happens,
Sure.
but now where is that resonating in my lived experience? Or is it a new experience that is troubling me? And then, like, let's take one step back and just talk about what a trigger is for people.
Mhm, mhm,
People, we say it all the time, like, I'm triggered. And people have made a trigger synonymous with being like angered. or hurt in some way. And it's not necessarily that. A trigger can be delightful. Like I can walk into a room and smell warm baking cookies and think of my grandmother and want to eat even though I'm not hungry. So there hunger, like that's a trigger, right? Getting triggered to eat or do certain things, or you see somebody having fun and you're like, "Ooh, I'm missing something." FOMO is a trigger, right? You're basically your brain sees something that's outside of you. So there's like some type of outside stimuli. And some triggers come from biological triggers. So sometimes the stimuli happens inside of your body. It can be a hormone shift and it triggers a thought. That's all a trigger is. It's a stimulus of some sort, internal or external, that triggers a thought. And that thought kicks off your behavior chain. And so that thought makes you feel certain things and it moves you to either go into action or be inactive. And then that leads to a consequence or a result of some sort. That's basically what a trigger is. And so part of this work of understanding our triggers, and you're using it in that more like that negative sense, which is a big part of triggers. I always say triggers, this is how I define it in the book. A trigger is anything that takes you off of your A game. And A stands for your alignment game. And your alignment game has to be in order in terms of your affirmations, what you say to yourself about yourself, if it triggers your affections, your affiliations, right? Your attitude and your actions. If something takes you off of one of those areas, if something takes you off of your A game, that's a trigger for you. And so maybe if it's something personal, something related to family, those are your affections and your affiliations. You're triggered. Now, where did it come from? So I have people start to identify what's the actual story behind it. When did it start for you? And the context in which you're experiencing the trigger today, is it the same context as when the memory was created and when the thought was embedded, that this is how you respond to it? That's the work we do, right? And I don't take 300 pages to do it. The book's only 120 pages. I get right to it.
Yeah.
And when you assess, the assess piece in risk management and in trigger identification is assessing, okay, I'm triggered, I'm feeling this. Now, what is it costing me today? How often does this happen? And what does it cost? Is this about to cost a relationship? Is it costing me my sleep? Is it costing my physical health, my peace? Am I about to blow a deal? Am I about to go online and go off and get to a typing thug? Am I about to, you know what I'm saying? What am I about to say online?
Right.
All the things happening politically, you know, I'm triggered, right? And then you have to build, right? So the build piece, like that you're talking about, like how do you build through this? Well, how you build depends on the trigger, where it came from. I put my triggers in 3 categories. They're either personal triggers that come from my lived experience. Think about all my titles and all the stories that go with those titles. I have personal triggers. I have global triggers, which are all the isms and the phobias and the phenomena and the, market changes and things that are outside of my control but still impact me. So global triggers. And then I have my professional environment or workplace triggers. I have things that are very unique to the way and where I work. And those things come together. And that's the work of the book, is to really be able to quickly understand, wait, where is this coming from? The coworker that raised their voice, what is that? Like, because I'm ready to snatch her throat out. But why such a visceral reaction out of me?
Right.
Why is my natural inclination not to talk it out? No, a natural inclination is to slap the skin off, right? Like, I'm saying, I'm just saying intrusive thoughts out loud.
Right.
I want to snatch her
You're not
throat.
going to do it, but
And I don't want to do it because I'm too cute to go to jail. Hello.
For real.
But I'm thinking it though, and I'm going there, and my blood is boiling, and my heart rate is going up. Real things are happening. My shoulders are tensing. My eyes are piercing, and I'm physically changing. My attitude is changing. My A game is disrupted. And now you got this person, but really, what's the real trigger? Oh, global trigger. That person's of another race than me. I'm offended. And I had a mother, love her, bless her, but she used to yell at me
Mhm.
all the time. And I'm very sensitive to it. That's why I'm having such a visceral reaction. And now I know because I'm aware I do not have to respond to this colleague in such a visceral way because I don't have to respond to her with the full weight of my story. That is
Mm.
building. Now, the last part of that model, identify, assess, build, learn. I represent this with an open-ended triangle, and learn is the open end. Whether you learn is optional. Identifying, assessing, and building is intentional. Whether
Sure.
you learn stands to be proven with the
Mm.
next scenario and the test of time. That's the
Mhm.
only way to prove that you learn something is how you gonna act the next time this happens.
Mm.
So that's the book, and I just read the whole
I
book too.
love that. I know, but I feel,
1999.
but there's so many more details to the, I know
Lots of
there,
content.
I think this is a beautiful thing because like I'm
Mhm.
assessing now what happened in the conversation last night. Usually Labrie and I are very good at like getting to a place in the conversation where we feel like we have something to work off of,
Mhm.
and I went to this like very like childlike space where I'm like, nobody loves me. I feel abandoned. I feel this like everybody hates me. I'm not worthy. You know what I mean? I was going through that spiral
Yeah, you
and
started
and
polarizing. Mhm.
exactly. And then I started like pushing him away and I started, being passive aggressive and saying things and making him feel inferior too. And so like I'm feeling small. So I'm, pushing it against him. And he's like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to fix this problem. And I was like just sitting there heaving and you know what I mean? And I was doing one of those and I was like, he's like, well, I don't know what to do. What do you want me to do? And he said
Mhm.
it very calmly. Labrie's a very calm, consistent man, which I love because I'm so
Yeah.
used to varying like emotions. He's just cool, calm, collected all the time.
Yeah.
And he's just like, what do you want? And I was like, just quiet. And I was thinking, I'm like, do I want a diamond ring? Is that what I want? Do I want him to like propose in front of all my friends? Because we're already married, but we had some of these pieces taken. So it always goes back to this like piece where we never got to have our wedding with our family because of
Mm.
COVID.
Yeah.
And there's
I
more
did the
to it.
same. I did the same thing.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
there's so much more to it. But I think when it comes
mine
to me
too.
and when it comes to me and him, I'm always like, we didn't get the wedding we wanted, right? You didn't get to express your love to me in front of everybody. Our 10-year anniversary is coming up in December of being together. So
Yeah.
I was like, I need and after I was done huffing and puffing, and I was like, okay, what is the solution here? Because I don't want to stay here. I don't want us to stay here. And I was like, I think I need you to write me a poem and write the vows that you would have written for me at the
Mm.
wedding that we never got to have for our anniversary. And we need to have a plan. We can't wait till December to come up with a plan for the anniversary because it makes me feel like I'm a lower priority. It's not important.
Mm.
This big thing that's happening for us is not at the top of your list if we're not planning for it. I don't want to be stuck planning it by myself. So
Right.
I feel like I finally got to some of those spaces and I'm excited that we're talking because now later today I feel like I can have a more clear-headed conversation with him. Like these are where the feelings were coming from. These were some of the things that I was thinking about. Here are some solutions.
Yeah.
Here are some ways we can avoid the trigger in the future or be aware of it when it comes
Yeah.
up and we can claim it. We could say, oh, this is the trigger for me. Let's just break it
Well,
down.
there's so many things in what you're saying. I mean, there's like you said, there's a pain in the story of we did not get to do it the way I envisioned. And
Right.
let's just be real. Like, I mean, you probably were like visualizing that since you were a little girl, like
Right.
like how you wanted this to go. And
Mhm.
so I love other speakers. One of my other favorite speakers is a speaker. He's actually also a TEDx speaker. And I think he spoke in 23. His name is Gabe Karp. And he said something really profound and simple. He said, the gap that exists between your expectations and your reality is where all your suffering occurs.
Mm.
Right?
Mm.
Damn, Gabe. Shout out to Gabe Karp. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Karp with a K.
I mean, fine. I guess you're right.
Right? Like, so yeah, blame that on Gabe. Like, ooh, shut everything down. But it was a brilliant thing, and I just won't forget that.
Right.
And And the reality though is that we suffer because of our expectations, but we have expectations because we're human. And I believe in certain things. I believe that I'm supposed to be, supposed to have certain things, and I want certain experiences. So there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But you're creating a suffering in your expectation, and you didn't release yourself from it until you talked about it. Now, the other
Right.
thing I do talk to people about is like being responsible and how you share, because
Mm,
it sounds like your husband, honestly, because he is calm and collected, he almost just kind of gave up though and said,
mm,
"Tell me what you want me to do. Like, whatever
right.
it is that you want, spell it out, and
Yeah.
I'm here to please," you know?
Mhm.
He just doesn't want that static, and he wants you to be happy. He
Yeah.
wants you to get what you want, and he doesn't wanna take a long time to try to understand it. He just like, "Tell me. Just
Mhm.
say it. Get it all out of
Mhm.
your system." But I had to even learn this in my own marriage to be, like, responsible with how I share,
Mm,
how I'm feeling, because we will, like, dump everything out on a person and then expect them to, like, sift through it and try to pick out what we mean, and we
mm,
and my husband says this to me all the time. He's like, "You just said a lot," and my
mm,
brain is, like, not keeping up with that,
mhm.
and so I don't know, are we good? Did you just is was that the thing? You know?
Right.
Was that the solution that you just needed to say it? He is, like, so confused, and I said, become more responsible in my sharing. And
Mhm.
so I sit with myself first and I identify, you know what's triggering me? Like I can talk about a real trigger. My husband, schedule is super busy, and we don't get a chance to sit down as a family and have dinner together. I think that is very important. It's so important to me. And the fact that we've been together so long and we don't do it consistently bothers me. But I
Mhm.
know exactly where that came from. It bothers me because when I was a little girl, I was raised by a single mother. My mother worked hard as hell. She had 2 jobs, sometimes 3, and
Mm,
she was out of the house. And so I was a responsible, I'm from the '80s, or I was born in
mhm.
'79, but baby, I'm from the '80s. So,
Mhm.
we stayed at home by ourselves since we was
Right.
7. We was good. We chefing it up. We were doing all kinds of things at 7, 8 years old that these new kids don't do.
Mm.
And and so I was at home by myself at 8, and my mother made wonderful meals for me, and
Mhm.
I ate alone, and I had
Mm.
nobody to talk to. I was an only child for 14 years. I had
Wow.
nobody to share my day with, and so that's where my speaking career started, because I used to talk to myself.
Mm.
I was standing in front of the mirror and I'm practicing telling my day and what happened, and let me tell you what she said. And my
Mm.
mother would hear my stories again, and that's another reason I get up so early. My mother would get up early for work, and I knew
Mhm.
the only time I could talk to her was 5 a.m.
Yeah.
That's when I had the audience. So I got up at the crack of dawn to start talking and sharing, but I had already practiced it and had it down because I knew she only had a little bit of time. Now fast
Mm.
forward 40 some years, I am very sensitive to a husband who can't make the time to sit down with me and the children.
Mhm.
I prioritize, even if we're standing over the kitchen sink and sitting at the
Mhm.
bar stools, hearing what is happening in my children's day in real time. And I want my husband to do it.
Mm.
And so I know exactly where that trigger comes from. So I don't have to bring the pain of my mom working 3 jobs and dump that on my husband. I
Mm.
know it's a personal trigger that started in my childhood. I know that it's compounded by the stress of the world and being busy entrepreneurs, and he's an engineer. I know he's working hard, and I should find gratitude in all the things that he
Yeah.
does. I know that he would love to have dinner with me, and he can't as often as he'd like. So I
Mhm.
balance that out when I share.
Mm.
That is finding the truth in your triggers. It makes you more responsible. It makes you a more intentional leader, and it helps you get the outcomes that you want faster.
Mm.
That's real.
Ooh, I love this. I feel I say this all the time, but I always feel like the conversation we have on the show is like in alignment with the things that are happening this week in my life. And I love that we're having this conversation about, you know, our triggers and knowing how to communicate with them. And I love this, like, responsibly sharing my thoughts and feelings with my husband, because he'll take it all in, he'll hear it all, he'll try and fix it all, but it's not his responsibility to fix it all. It's within me. I know that, but I need to communicate that with him, and also, like, not make him carry the burden of all of my life trauma, like, that is
He
not
has his
his
work.
burden to carry.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that it's such a beautiful time, and I can't wait for the book. Do we know when the book's coming out?
I'm going to say mid-October. One of the joys of self-publishing and working with a company, like one of the, I'm working with a really good online publishing company, to help me self-publish. But there's some back and forth in the process. You got to
Sure.
approve the manuscripts, approve the typesetting, approve the cover, the what is it called? The spine of it all, the back cover. And so we're in those processes. I think we're like 95% of the way, and we're just formatting for the ebook so it can go on Amazon and all the places. And I should have it out in like the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I'm so excited. I'm aiming for mid-October, and to have physical copies, because I have some cool conferences coming up
Yes.
across the country, and I'm taking that book with me, baby, because I need my coins.
Yes. How does it feel? Like, how does it feel to be birthing a book? This is your first book, right?
It's my first book. It's amazing that it was a journey to write it.
Yeah.
Again, it's like me, it's short but mighty,
Ooh.
and
Mhm.
there's a lot of I had to do a lot of research though, because I wanted
Mhm.
real stories. Of course, I changed all the names and stuff like
Sure.
that. But every example that's given, everything you see in quotes, a real human being said these things. And um, and I've interviewed, dozens of executives and people who work in like frontline leadership and management, people who are up and coming
Mhm.
leaders, emerging leaders in their professions across a lot of different industries, just to make sure that my thoughts were on point. Sometimes as a thought leader and a writer, you can get really arrogant because you're like, I got 22 years of experience. I know what I'm talking about.
Mhm.
And you really don't know how stuff is going to land on people. So one of the most important tests in that butterfly phase,
Yeah.
like you said, fluttering and doing some testing. I got that from a great marketing strategist as well.
Mhm.
And so a lot of what you find in the book, if people have heard me deliver some of my keynotes and some of my workshops, they've heard some of these points because I test it on real audiences. I
Mhm.
get the feedback. So I read every single survey that people submit on me. I read
Mhm.
it all. And when I talk about the truth is in the trigger, it really resonates. And then shout out to the professionals that help you, because this
Yeah.
book was called something else that was,
Mm.
now in hindsight, it was so lame. So I'm not even gonna say what it was. It suited my risk management brain. It was so cerebral and
Sure.
so not engaging, but it is how my brain works naturally. And I was talking to a friend of mine, Tanisha Molden. She's a great intellectual property attorney, and she was working with me on like, how do you protect all this cool stuff you're creating?
Yeah.
And I was just rattling off to her some things I wanted to protect. And I said, yeah, this really got me going. I said, because, like I always say, the truth is in the trigger, child. And she was like,
Mm.
wait, what? And I was like, the truth is in the trigger, like that's what's wrong with people. Like, they don't know their triggers. And she's like, duh, that's it. Like,
I
that's
love
all the things. It's the keynote, it's the book, it's the truth is in the trigger. I love it. And she said
Mm.
that, and I was like, okay. And I said, well, I got to test that. Like, I love it too. And
Mhm.
there's two of us. So are you going to buy 10,000 copies of the book?
Right.
Yeah. So I tested it. I tested my wings with a self taped micro learning series on
Hmm.
YouTube. I put it out. It was 5 parts. Truth is in the trigger. People loved it. People
Mm.
were loving it on TikTok, on LinkedIn. I sent it out in an email campaign to 1,000 subscribers that I have, and people were like, "We love this." And they loved the title, and so I went with it.
Ooh, I love it. It's such a journey. How long When did
Everything's
you
a journey.
when did you start, like, how long has this journey been?
Ah, it started I started the book late last summer after I finished the Goldman Sachs, 2 Goldman Sachs programs. So, last spring, early summer, I finished Goldman Sachs 1,000,000 Black Women. Love
Oh,
that program. Ugh,
yes.
best thing in business. And then I immediately, enrolled in, I was in the Chase for Business program in the middle, and then I was in the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. That's a 14-week journey, and
Yes.
it was a perfect season for me to do it.
Mhm.
It fit perfectly around my speaking calendar, and
Mm.
I got it done. But it's part of that program. You have to identify a growth plan for your existing business. Like, how can you grow your existing revenue in business by at least 20%? And I knew because there was a demand. People, when I would get off stage, people would say, "Oh my goodness, do you have a book? Is there a podcast? Is there a workshop?" And I had to start saying yes
Yep.
because the market was demanding this. And so I started writing the book late last summer. And baby, at first I thought I was Shonda Rhimes and I was trying to do characters and shit like that. Listen, baby, I found out so quick that Shonda
You're
has
like,
a talent that
yeah.
Princess doesn't. I was like, oh my God. I started writing this whole book. I had written 4 chapters about people in this company, and I was trying to change names and
Oh my
weave storylines and backstory and character. And then I was like, girl, you don't even
God.
read stuff like this. Like, I am not Shonda Rhimes. I am Princess Castleberry, start
There
from
we go.
scratch. So I took, kept the framework, and I was like, write a nonfiction, to the point, short and simple book that helps people identify their triggers and decode the triggers driving their stress and burnout. Girl, stick to the title and the plan. And
There we
so
go.
that's what pushed me back several months, is trying to be Shonda and trying to be Spielberg or whoever I was trying to be. I don't know, but now I'm back
But
to
you tried it. You
I
tried
tried
it.
it.
Now you know.
That's
You
my
know.
wing was broken, child. I was like,
It
that
was an
is
unnecessary
I'm not
wing. It
that
was
girl.
not, yeah, yeah.
I am not that girl. I was supposed to be a butterfly and I was trying to be an aardvark. I don't know
Okay,
what
there
I
we go.
was trying to choose. No, it was not happening. So I had to
Oh my
start over.
God.
I had to start
Yeah.
over. And a couple other entrepreneurs and authors gave me a little swift kick in the butt and said, "Get this shit finished, girl. Quit
I
playing."
love it. Oh my
Gotta know your
goodness. Oh, such a journey. It's so beautiful. I'm excited to read it. Okay, we are at our time. I have 3 more things we need to do. So we're gonna just
Let's do it.
pull an animal and just get him a quick recap energy. And this is just gonna give us a good vibe. And this is for the person that's listening right now.
Mhm.
And oh, it's a flower. And it says grow belonging.
Oh, I love that.
It says grow belonging. And let's just read a little bit about what it says. Number 26. And grow belonging says, I love it. Let's see. I mean, if we're butterflies and the flower is appearing, it says a poet once said that you're only free when you realize you belong nowhere because you belong everywhere, which is no place at all. She speaks of what it takes to belong to oneself first and foremost. Now
Mm.
is the moment to cultivate a friendship between you and you. Endeavoring to build true belonging within. No one can take your home away when it lives inside of you.
Come on now. I love that. That's me. I love that.
Why did I need that right now? Because I feel like literally, I think the trigger that I'm having right now is feeling lonely,
Mm,
and I think it's
that's
like
real.
about being, what does it take to be a community leader but still feel loneliness? Like, is that a
That's
thing?
the thing.
Yes.
It is a
To
thing.
being an
Loneliness is the
entrepreneur,
number one growing epidemic. Loneliness.
yes,
That's a real
and
thing.
so like cultivating experiences for myself that I need instead of trying to get it from everybody else, because that's
That's
not
right.
where it's going to come from. It's
That's
going to
right.
come from right here. And then also just like creating a space for you. You created the space for yourself to be the person that you are supposed to be. And I feel like all of us here watching are doing the same thing. We're going down this entrepreneurial path because we don't feel like there is a role that it was built for us. We need to make it ourselves. We need to create a space where we get to be as full, bright, big, and bold, beautiful as we need to be, as like saying all the things, wearing all the things, expressing ourselves. So grow belonging. I love that.
I love
Oh,
it.
that's good. Okay, 2 more things. 1, where can everybody find you?
Everybody can find me on my website, first and foremost, www.princesscastleberry.com. On LinkedIn, for sure, I am the only Princess Castleberry on all of LinkedIn. And if you find another one, she is a fraud. So report her. And then on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, it's at Princess Castleberry Speaks.
Is there another Princess Castleberry on Instagram and Facebook?
Maybe. I mean, I can't control those spaces, but LinkedIn, baby, I got it on lock.
Okay, good. Good. You're one of one.
Yeah,
One
I'm
of one.
but there's Princess Castleberry Speaks. That's me.
Good. Good. There are a lot of Amanda Sweets out there, surprisingly.
Not
So
like
I'm just
me.
like, I
Not
know. I'm like,
you.
they're not me, but
Yeah,
they
not you.
exist, and it's weird. I'm like, okay. All right. The last question I have for you is for our guests watching right now. What is your last piece of advice?
Oh, wow. Last piece of advice. Once you know what is triggering you, leverage it. Leverage it. You don't have to. One of the things I say this all the time is it doesn't really matter as much today how your story started. How your story started is the truth. Own that, radically accept that, and then reinvent your motive. If anything that you're doing today is tied to a pain or a trauma that you experience, allow yourself to reinvent and reimagine your motive. Don't try to erase and change the origin of it.
Mm.
Finding the truth in your triggers requires radical acceptance of who you are and the entire story of who you are and how you got here. Only then can you build a new truth for yourself and for others.
Mm. Princess, you're amazing. I'm so grateful to have you in my community, in my ethos, in the
Yes.
world. I'm excited to
Oh,
be,
you got me
oh
because
my
when
God.
I saw you, I was like, I love you. I love you.
Because because I've been following you online.
My
I
head.
think I saw you at a speaking at a panel at Bamboo like a year ago, and I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I like that. I like this girl." And her name is Princess. I was like, I get it. As somebody whose last name is Sweet, like I can only imagine the conversations that you have.
Oh,
So for
yeah.
me, I was like, okay, I'm tapped in. And so when you came up to me and said that, it just gave me some validation. You were like, what you're not going to do anymore is speak for no money. That's
Oh,
what you're about to stop
oh,
doing.
that's what we're gonna stop doing.
Because when
There's
I saw
a big
you,
difference between I don't use the word free. People say,
right.
"Oh, do you speak for free?" I do strategically speak for no fee engagements
Hmm.
sometimes, and that's even measured. I do it
Hmm.
3 to 4 times a year, usually on average 1 per quarter.
Hmm.
This year, it happened that I was doing 2, this quarter, which means I'm doing 0 in Q4.
Hmm.
And that's a standard that I'm sticking to, and that you're going to stick to
Yes.
because, whether you're a wife, child, or if you're single, you could be single, counting and clocking all your own dollars. You have to, if you're going to be in the full-time business of speaking, you got to treat it like a business. And this is not
Hmm.
a hobby, and you cannot feed yourself on honorariums. Sorry.
Mm-mm.
That
Mm-mm.
sounds like less than minimum wage and poverty to me. I can't, so I
Hmm.
have to be very strategic about my no fee engagements.
Yes. Oh, I love it. And I think
Yes, the podcast. We wrapped up and then got started again.
listen, we could keep going. We could keep going, but I
Let's
think
do a 5-minute
this
redirect and talk about
listen, this is important because I feel like
this.
you watching at the whatever stage you are at your business, there are things that make sense for no fee, but there are other things that you get in return for it. What are you negotiating? If you're not going to get like physical dollars, like what are you going to get on the other end of it that can leverage you to get the next gig that is paying the fee, the full fee?
So speaking of that, I don't even know how I neglected to mention this. My one of the like biggest upcoming engagements is called Navigate and Negotiate. It is an experience that I host. We're doing it now once a year with one of my business partners, Nicole Lewis. So it speaks directly to the heart of that, knowing what your value is. And so we have a couple of different experiences, but our fall experience is it's basically a strategic planning experience for women. And even though we don't age restrict it, it really was designed for women 35 to 40 and up, right?
Mhm.
Because these are women who have had some longevity in their careers, they've had lots of experiences, and they're wanting to move forward. And so we created this space very intentionally where women can convene and come together with experts and with our sponsors and our vendors to build their strategic plan for the next year. And we do it in October because you got to be ready to launch in the new fiscal year, in the new calendar year, and
Mhm.
things like that. And so part of that experience is designing and crafting messages around your worth, really setting out on your priorities. And if your priority, like if my priority is to continue to build a professional speaking empire that is, it goes from another mentor. I love my mentors and people that tell me cool things.
Yes.
One mentor said, your job as a speaker is to go from the breakout room to the ballroom to the boardroom. Baby, I'm
Mm.
trying to get into some boardrooms with these ideas. These
Ooh.
are frameworks that are
Yep.
real, tested risk management strategies and leadership development strategies. So if I believe in them, I got to get them into the spaces, but they can't go there for free.
Mm-mm.
They can't go there for free. And so, as a business owner, once you have identified your body of work or your product, your service, your
Mhm.
whatever it is, you have to do the work to value it. And that's what we teach at Navigate Negotiate. Then that's an event for women, but this is for all people. You
Yeah.
gotta put a value to it. You can't value something if you haven't researched it. So everything is not a pluck out of the sky, come up with a number, 10,000, 5,000. It's not
Mhm.
it's about understanding what problems you solve and the credibility that you bring to solve that problem and what
Mm.
the value of it is. Coming up with that number, testing that number in the market, because we're
Mm.
talking about business, testing it, seeing what the market will bear, and then going outside of this market. Because Detroit and Michigan and Metro, that's one market. Go
Yeah.
somewhere else. Go go online, go international, have it use technology to translate it to another language. See how the people in Aruba like to hear your message in Dutch. That's what I'm doing.
Mm.
I already got a base there. I had a
I
base
love that.
there and business owners that I network with. I've been there 3 times over the last couple years on purpose,
Yep.
build business relationships. So if you don't think I'm going to translate my stuff into Dutch, you're crazy. I'm going
Mm.
to because I have, relationships there.
Yes.
That's what you have to do to establish your value. And once you know that value, you stick to it. And if you can't secure a number or a target in any given deal, you got to come to that deal with a list of things you would accept in lieu of the cash.
Mm.
You got to be willing to put that out there.
Ooh,
Talk
I
about it.
love it.
You know who you're talking to. So when people say, "Oh, here's an opportunity. I'm going to have you come speak at my church." If your church is full of teenagers, that's not my audience.
Sure.
If
Yep.
your church is full of, um, you know, name a demographic that I'm not targeting. Like I have to know who I'm talking to know
Yeah.
whether or not this is a good deal. It doesn't mean that you don't have value.
Mhm.
I just know where my strategy and my value lies because I've planned for it.
Mm.
And I can be very firm in all of my yeses and firm in all of my nos or my not right nows.
Yeah. When is this event? How can we sign up?
Navigate and negotiate. You can go to navigateandnegotiate.com. The tickets are on sale. They're $150. It's a half day experience on Sunday, October 26th. It's happening at the Michigan Design Center in Troy. It's a
Ooh.
full-on experience. There will be, mimosas and mock mimosas for our dry friends.
Period.
Mimosas and mimosas. There is full, heavy hors d'oeuvre, so you will eat and you will eat good, and you can get full. We
Good.
are sponsored by Oakland Thrive, the Mac Law Group, Stein Law and Grants. So we got a sponsor that literally teaches people how to go out and pitch for grants. We're sponsored by Grandeur Crew Wine Shop in Detroit. We're sponsored by Nothing Bundt Cakes, Andrea Jones, who owns 4 of the most amazing Nothing Bundt Cakes. And of
Yes, she
course,
does.
my partner, Nicole Lewis and Association, and my company, Castleberry Global. We're all the sponsors and working to secure a few more. Amazing event. We draw over 100 women that come and build with us. They build their written strategic plans for the next year, and they're out here rocking and rolling. And a lot of those women are returning. You should come too.
You about to have 101. I'm gonna check my schedule, but I
Yes.
think I can make
I would
it. That
love
sounds
to have you at
amazing
that
because
place.
that is like
That's what
one
you
of
need.
this is literally one of the pieces that I'm missing. I think is
That's
the
it.
strategic plan.
Come on.
And I was like, I just need a retreat. I was literally thinking to
That's
myself, I
it.
need a retreat for myself where I just sit and I focus on strategy and strategic planning only. I was
You're gonna have
literally thinking about this.
You're gonna have so much fun. You never had so much fun doing a SWOT analysis.
Oh, I can't wait.
And we're
I
gonna
can't
make it
wait.
really it's so fun. It's so engaging. And Nicole and I facilitate the whole thing. It's a half day, and
I'm
you're
ready.
going to get it in, and you're gonna make connections with corporate leaders, nonprofit leaders, and fellow entrepreneurs. You're gonna shop a bunch of vendors. It's so fun. Oh my God.
I'm excited. Okay. Well, I'm going to be signing up for that and I'm going to put the link below. That way you can sign up too and we'll be in the room together, which I'm so excited about. Princess Castleberry, thank you so much for coming, spending your time. I know you have a busy month. You have a lot of things to do. So thank you for carving out space for the Let's Glow show for me and for our audience here. And for those of you that are interested, we have the plus size posing workshop coming back October 11th. So if you're interested in getting in front of the camera, shaking it out, learning a couple new poses, and embracing your body, we would love to have you sign up. I'll put the link below as well. And we are accepting applications for our next brand ambassador program for the revamp coming up in January. So 2 ways you can step into your body, step into your positioning, learn about posing, get on camera, put yourself out there, and get fly with all the coolest friends that you are yet to meet, but you will very, very soon. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Princess. I appreciate you so much. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week. This is the Let's Glow Show. It's Amanda Sweet. We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye.